Hello, Miss Veronica, Miss V at veronicadrake.com, which I will put at the end also.
Hello.
I have been looking at your Instagram and other places, and oh my God, your art is, well, I understand you just said that it's channeled and you're going to send me a piece based on my energy. And I said, what energy? Oh my God, it's probably gonna be all black. It's all black with spiders crawling all over it. I'm kidding.
I'm in love with this new piece of purpose. Look at this.
Wow. Oh my God. That is beautiful. And tell me what you use. It looks like watercolor, but it doesn't look like watercolor.
These are 4x4 ceramic tiles.
Oh, wow.
And this is my favorite one right here. 4x4 ceramic tiles, and it's alcohol ink.
Wow.
And it's called Oracle Art. And one day I was sipping my coffee and Spirit said, you've got to find another way to give people messages because I'm only one person and I can't talk to everybody. And so what I do is you book a piece of art, you commission a piece of art on a 4x4 ceramic tile. It comes with a very nice cork backing. You can have a magnet or you can have a little easel. So I channel your art, I channel your energy, and I go into this space of channeling. I create your art, and then you get a little message that comes with it. And every day I have a direction sheet on how to use this. Every day you look at your art and you get your message of the day. You can use this like oracle cards. You can collect them and use them like oracle cards. This is the art to have. I must say.
Oh my God. Here, I'm telling something right now.
What?
In a home, interior designers,
Oh.
Backsplash, but
Yes.
you put a beautiful intent or in a nursery behind it. And you don't have to have the entire bathroom or whatever shower, but you have certain ones and it raises the vibration of the whole space.
Absolutely. And look how beautiful this is when you display it. I've got different colored black or brown. But yeah, you can get this. I have an Etsy shop. It's Oracle Art by Veronica Drake, or you can just email me at support@veronicadrake.com.
But wouldn't that be great? Just to have also in walls, tiles, etc. But have the intent on the other side. It's there, but
yep.
Anyway, that's cool.
It kind of goes like this. You get your piece, this kind of gets back, and then you have your piece that you pull out. I'm encouraging people to collect sets of 12 because then you can have different reads. You can use them like cards.
Yeah.
And I'm writing a book. So
what's the book?
The book will be based on the Oracle art. It'll be a book of messages, channeled messages based on the imagery that I get. So yeah.
Cool. I'm so excited for you. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share that. I appreciate it.
I'm so excited for you. All right. Now we are going to, and this person told me a long time ago to do this. I feel so bad that it took me so long. We're going to channel Otzi the Iceman. And I've seen the image of this guy kind of like folded over and really well preserved. People tell that about me too. But anyway, he's apparently the oldest natural mummy of a man. He lived like 3400 and 3100 BC, and he was found in September of 1991 in the Austrian Alps. All right, so here's the first question. This is all because I didn't know anything about him.
Mom, I love you.
Oh, I love you too. I forgot. I say I love you all the time when I'm.
Listen, he's like tapping on my shoulder. He's like, she forgot.
Oh, I did not. I told you this morning. Anyway, your brother's birthday is today. So
happy birthday.
Prank him. Anyway, the clothes you were wearing showed incredible handcrafting as well as astounding artistic patterning. Please tell us, this is from a blog member, about the detail of making your clothes, the belt, shoes, and the fur coat. Even by modern standards, you looked dashing. Did all in your community dress so impeccably? I mean, tell us about yourself. Just hello, and thank you also for coming in to share a little bit about you.
He says that not everyone got to be adorned the way that he was. He had been training people to do these crafts, to get to this level of expertise. But he was, if you can think of it like this, he says he was of a certain stature in his community, almost as if he were a leader of sorts. Mm-hmm. And while it was not the norm for people to wear what he wore, it was the norm for people who did what he did, which was traverse the terrain that he did and kind of really come and go from the climates and the different terrains.
That's interesting because it did say something about the bone structure suggested that you did make very long walks on the hilly terrain.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about
he said he was part of his life, early part of his life, he was what you would understand to be a shepherd.
Okay, yeah.
Where he would navigate the hills. And the other part of his life, which he's saying was lifelong, he was a gatherer. He was known to be somebody that would feed people. I'm chuckling because I'm thinking, like, was he a grocer? You know, did he like have a, you know, he's saying that he would go out and he would find food for the village. He was one of many.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell us about the community structure, hierarchy? Was it patriarchal, matriarchal, religious? You know, were there certain rules? And
Erik and I were chuckling about this earlier because it was all about survival. But it was an inherent and underlying current of patriarchal. There was definitely what we would understand as a caste system.
Okay.
It wouldn't have been called that, obviously, but there were definitely, and he sat at the top of that. In a sense, we might, Erik says we might call him the mayor.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so he did have a leadership role, was well revered and well respected.
Okay. Were you a brutal dictator or were you a benevolent one?
He says, I could be either. And when there was a time to be one and a time to be the other. Let's put it this way. I certainly made enemies.
But were you fair? I mean, were your consequences logical? Were you a just ruler?
I thought so.
Okay. All right. So can you tell us about the basket making in your time? What plants were used and how were they prepared for weaving?
He's showing me, it looks to be like some sort of bark.
Oh.
Like thin strips of bark.
Okay.
That
must have been a much lower
the bottom of it.
Oh.
Some sort of bark. And there's something like, it looks to be like a long, it hangs like this. I don't know the name of it. It doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, wow.
I mean, we would liken it to what a palm tree looks like.
But that's probably not.
If you can look over my shoulder. But no, it's definitely not a palm
like
tree.
Like a willow, or is it related to pines or willows?
He says it would be a variation of the willow family. But it doesn't, we don't have that anymore, he says.
Oh, interesting. All right, so did you have any children?
No.
Okay. Anyway, so you used to weave, you used, I guess, some sort of like leaves or a long willow leaves or?
Long pieces, and it was very natural the way that the weaving took place. He says he had a mind that was very practical and very survival based. And he's also saying he was an inventor.
Oh.
So things that didn't exist in the community and the village, he was at the forefront of creating, the basket being one of them. I wish I could see the name of the plant or the tree that he used. Now, see, he's correcting me to say a plant because I can best say it had long drooping
Is it
leaves.
a bush? It's a tree, right?
Yeah, but and they would dry out and then it would become sturdier.
Okay.
But they were most pliable when they were fresh.
Okay. What were the baskets used for besides carrying, food? Were they used as baby carriers?
He said it would depend on what was needed. People would make them to carry eating, we would call them utensils or plates, eating pottery. It looks something like pottery. I can see, I don't know if they're dishes or they're flat rocks is what they look like.
Okay.
I'm calling them pottery. He says people didn't store things, so it wasn't about storage.
Oh.
Most berries,
Yeah.
fruits, that kind of thing.
So you didn't brew anything like make beer or what? Okay.
No, but what's interesting, he is showing me some sort of cylinder. And again, we're going back to the bark.
Okay.
The pine bark? Birch bark? I don't know. It looks like I might understand it to be birch bark. And then it's got grass inside of it, which also is a way for him to make heat. So there's something lining this.
Yeah.
Like we would call them portable heaters.
Oh, were you able to make fire? I guess probably, right?
Yes. He says he was one of the first to make fire containable and make people understand all of the benefits of fire.
Okay.
And not just the scary part of it.
Yeah. Did you have a way of preserving food, like drying it, salting it? Well, you probably didn't have salt. Smoking?
No, you would hang it. He says his clothing was made of skins and you didn't waste any of the animal. So if you took the skin to be a pair of shoes or to be a cloak, you would naturally eat the animal and you would dry the animal, let it age. But mostly it was eaten raw.
Oh, okay. Well, that's probably better for you, really.
And there was a lot of berries, he says, a lot of bushes, a lot of berries.
Okay. So what kind of herd did you have? Was it mostly goats or sheep or?
He says a mix of goats and sheep.
Okay. All right. Did you wear shoes? If so, were they just leather shoes, or did you have to make some sort of snowshoes for snow?
He says they're on the bottom of the shoe. You would understand it to be a sole of the shoe was bear leather or skin that became leather.
Okay.
Like sole, and then there would be skin fur that would come up off the sole.
Oh.
And it would be stuffed with grasses that would insulate it and almost be like we would understand to be socks.
Okay. Did you have some sort of frame of branches for tracking in the snow, like making a snowshoe? Seems like you would have to.
Well, the way that they were, it's showing me like they look like they're really wide, like the bear skin would be.
Oh, okay.
And I'm trying to see in my mind how he would connect them. Like, we would take a needle and thread.
Okay.
And he's showing me that, oh, it would be pieces of the tree that the basket was made from, but they would be torn to be thinner.
Okay.
And there would be a stone, I guess for lack of a better word, that would have a file to it, to a
Oh.
point that would be very sharp. And it would be hit with a rock to put holes in there to
Oh.
loop this string through, or, what we would call string through.
What kind of animal did you get the skins from? Beside, of course, goat and sheep. Did you hunt bear? Did you?
It was bear. There was bear, he says. There was deer.
Yeah. Moose?
Uh,
Maybe moose.
Goat.
Any moose or elk?
Elk.
Elk.
I'm not hearing moose. I hear elk.
Reindeer? I mean, caribou, whatever.
I don't know. No, he just says deer.
Okay.
And elk, which was very good to eat also.
Okay.
He was a hunter for the village. So he's telling me that there was a group. These were almost like a cluster, a sect, if you will, of people. And he was the lead, and he was in charge of taking the men out to go hunt for foods and goods that were needed.
Okay. So you didn't have any children. Why? Did you have a wife?
No.
Wow. Were you heterosexual?
It was not. I wasn't sexual.
Okay.
I wasn't sexual. There wasn't, I don't know if we would call it asexual, or he doesn't identify that.
All right. So how many were y'all nomadic?
Well, we set up this camp, this community, but we understood that everything had to come to an end. And so when it was time, as we were out scouting food, because the need to move was based on the supply of food. Yeah. So as we would go hunt, we would understand the seasons would change. We would eat different delicacies, and it would be like we would get limited supplies, and we would pick up camp or community and move on.
How often would that be? A matter of years?
In our time, it would, in our terms and time, it would be every 2 to 4 years.
Oh, okay. All right. How many people, what was the population of your community on an average?
He says it could be anywhere from 25 to 50.
Okay.
And that includes all ages and...
oh, yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. What did you do with your dead? Did you bury them?
There was a ritual or a blessing ceremony. We also were of the mind that you sacrificed. So we wouldn't take live people to sacrifice, but when they passed, we would sacrifice the soul.
Okay.
And they would be in shallow, what would appear to be shallow graves.
Okay. Did you have any other ceremonial practices like hallucinogens that would, or taking hallucinogens, or, dancing, or?
He's showing me what I believe to be a drum.
Okay.
It looks like a log that's hollowed out, and it has a skin very taut over it. Mm-hmm. And it looks to be a ceremonial drum, and I can hear boom, 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 like the message. Everybody could participate in this.
Okay.
And there was a rhythm that was known. Their community was known by the rhythm of their drumming. That's how you recognized who people were.
Wow, that's so cool. But were there hallucinogens involved in any of your ceremonial practices?
No.
Okay, so who did you sacrifice to? Were you monotheistic or polytheistic?
Um, there were many, Polly. There were many.
Sun god, the god of rain, things like that?
Earth God. Yep. Yep. Um, we also were very, what you would call superstitious. And
Oh,
so we were very ritualistic in following the guidelines that were put down from the gods.
okay.
And as a senior member in this community, it was my job to translate these guidelines, if you will.
So was there also a separate religious leader, or were you it?
I was it.
Oh, were there
There,
other roles?
there weren't what you would call religious leaders.
Okay.
We called them community leaders or tribal leaders.
Were there any? Okay.
And we would feed the need of everyone.
Okay. Were there any other types of leaders, like a seer, or any other specific roles in your community?
There were people with very specific and very unique gifts. Yes, we had somebody that would, so that you can understand, we would have the entertainer, we would have the visionary, we would have what you all would call the prophets. Yes.
Okay, interesting. Uh, did you have any art or jewelry? Did you guys make any art or jewelry? I guess if it's about survival, you probably didn't, but.
Yeah, we didn't call it art or jewelry, and it wasn't certainly for appearance's sake. Our art, if you will, would be our drawings in our houses, which would be made of rocks and almost like it looks like plaster, but it's not. It's clay.
Okay.
And there would be, Erik says, fucking Erik. Erik goes, "You want to see my etchings?"
That's funny. What did you call yourself? Obviously, you were not called Otzi. What did you call yourself?
As in my name?
Yeah, your real name.
Unte, Unte, Unte. He says, Unte.
All right. Can you say how are you doing in your language back then?
It wasn't a language like you understand the language to be. It was a very almost like a grunting and a no, yeah, like that's what I'm hearing. I'm doing my best to translate it, but it's not like you and I know how to talk today. There were many revisions and evolutions of this early
How would
grunting.
you say the name of your village or your community?
I can't even, like, it's just a weird sound. I don't even know how to.
There's suggestion in, looking at examining you, that you were lactose intolerant. You think you were?
I'm laughing because Erik is Erik.
Making farting sounds, I bet, right?
What?
Is he making farting sounds?
Yeah, he's like talking about pooping. So he says certain things bothered me. And it was, so this is very crude, but I'm just going to tell you what I'm seeing. It wasn't like we are now, like you would just drop and go wherever you needed to go. So it was not something one thought about as lactose intolerant. And it wasn't even there wasn't even a correlation between, oh, I ate the fat or the lard,
Okay.
and oh, I pooped, like,
Yeah.
or I got a bellyache, or I got gaseous. It
Okay.
didn't have that, but it was a thing.
Okay.
Physiologically, it did happen to him.
Okay. They also say that, what did you think your state of health and nutritional status was? I mean, there was evidence that you had parasites like whipworm. Were you not feeling well before your death?
The level of feeling well varied, just like it does for you.
Yeah.
But there wasn't an option to not feel like you could carry on. Remember, this was survival. We were built for survival.
Yeah.
And everything we did was about survival. He says he wants everybody to think about this. Everything was an inconvenience.
Oh, God.
Everything.
And now we just whine and moan about just about everything.
Mm-hmm. He says, so it's not like, you know, we were the beginning of some modernization, but there weren't any. He goes, we didn't even have wheels.
Oh. Yeah, and we complain when we have to, why did we have luggage without wheels before? What were we thinking? Yeah.
Dear God.
All right, so you're very famed for having the oldest known tattoos. What can you tell us about their designs and why both on the right side? Some suggest that your tattoos may have been healing pressure points.
This was medicinal.
Oh, wow.
These were medicinal in nature. They were not like you decorate and adorn your body with.
Okay.
These were actually what they were. He's showing me there were cuts, if you will, superficial cuts where a concoction, I can see it being mixed up, almost like an alchemist would mix a little bit of this and a little bit of that and put into this, put into the cut.
Okay.
Wound.
Mm-hmm.
And it would happen at various pain points in the body.
Yeah, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Why the right side? What does the right side represent?
Mm-hmm.
Is that masculine or feminine? I can't remember, or something. And one's career.
It didn't have anything to do with the masculine or feminine. He says it would probably have to do with the pain location or where they believed certain radiating points or points can what's the word? Conjuncture of points. Now remember, he doesn't understand the inner workings of the body. There's no knowledge. This is your heart. This is your tummy. Yeah. So it's not anything like that. He says it was much more simplistic. Oh, my lower right hip hurts. Okay. Let's put something there.
Well, what was hurting? What did you get? What pain were you trying to resolve? For the most part.
So where I can see where he's pointing on his body, as to best I can see, it would be what we would understand to be a kidney area.
Oh.
Okay, is one. And it looks to me where he's showing me his ankle is like huge, like swollen. We may call it a broken bone or a twist or something.
Well, Eric, did you have gout or arthritis or what? What do you think?
Arthritis. Yes, Eric definitely says arthritis. The bones were very brittle also, which is probably very common. He walked with broken bones.
Oh, was it from osteoporosis, thinning of the bones, or was it just
deterioration?
Oh gosh, poor thing. All right, so let's back up. Was there any war in the community or slavery?
There was war, but not like you understand it. It would be, you might understand an uprising,
Okay.
meaning there were groups of people who, for all intents and purposes, I'm hearing him say, had had enough of him and would want to get rid of him.
God.
That would happen almost routinely.
Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
Were they ever successful from time to time, and you got the power back, or?
No, except my ultimate demise.
Okay, well we're going to talk about that toward the end. Did you grow any kind of crops as a community?
We did not. Well, let me back up. He's showing me lots of brush, lots of trees, lots of natural berries.
But you didn't grow anything. You just
No. Like there was not planting and cultivating and no, none of that. They literally lived off the land that was there.
Did you guys have any pets?
No.
Okay.
A woolly mammoth.
What kind of tools did you make? I know that there was a copper hatchet that you had was found by your body. Did you make that?
Yes. Actually, I would call myself a craftsman.
Ooh.
I was a very proud to say that I would make all of our hunting tools.
Wow.
For our community.
For most of the tools y'all made were for hunting?
Absolutely. Self-preservation, survival. You had to fight off what, if you didn't eat it, it would eat you.
Okay, so and most of it was what were the handles from?
There were so this is interesting because what I'm seeing is we would call them, like, I joked about the woolly mammoth, but it's kind of that era. There are still some of those big creatures. But he says, liken it to you understanding elephants.
Okay.
Or hippopotamus, or the other thing is when I see him in my mind's eye, he has a very small stature.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Not a big man. Yeah. So imagine, a big elephant, or a woolly mammoth, literally.
Interesting. That probably was. Erik, were there some rogue woolly mammoths around at that time?
Erik says yes. What we would understand to be dinosaurs were actually still walking parts of the earth.
Jesus, what kind around that area?
Basically, the woolly mammoth was very big around that time. And also there were some really huge birds. I don't know that we would name them. I want to say, I'm going pterodactyl, and they're going, no, not that.
Oh, wow. Ooh. All right, so this was before the Copper Age, right? So why was there so much arsenic and copper in your hair? Was that because of copper smelting, as some of the scientists?
It's what I did for a living. He said you would call it a living. It's what I did to support my community. It was a process where it was absorbed in me. He did a lot of copper work. I don't even know that he knew what copper was.
Oh, where'd you mine it, in the mountains?
Mm-hmm. It was actually just part of the day-to-day stuff. They would go out and they would, just look for anything that could be useful and helpful.
Rocks. I mean, that couldn't have been good for you.
No.
Oh.
Rocks were big. Rocks could become anything.
Yeah. Interesting. I forgot to ask you. Well, I don't remember you answering it. Did y'all engage in slavery at all?
No slavery. Everyone pulled their weight equally.
Okay.
Because it was everybody understood that each person's survival depended on each other.
Oh, yeah, that's right. How old were you at the time of your death? And we're going to get into that.
I was 43.
Oh my God. Jeez, that's amazing. Um, okay. See, I don't want to miss anything before we talk about your death. Now, did your people and their descendants remain in South Tyrol, or did they migrate?
They migrated.
Okay.
They
Where,
migrated.
southwest, north?
They would pick up and go from place to place. It was a natural evolution of migration.
The certain percentage of your tribe's genes can be found in Swiss, Italian, Austrian, and German populations of today, it seems like, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They actually, what happened is eventually they broke off into little subgroups, if you will. Yeah. Over generations.
Okay. Do you like the name Otzi? Did they name you Otzi, or you probably don't care?
Loves it. Yeah, you know, it's good. It's cool. He says it's. Erik and I were talking about that. It's a really cool name.
It's named after the region, the Otzi Mountains or something like that.
Yeah.
All right. So, did you ever have a premonition that you would be this archaeological rock star in the future? Whatever years in the future, 5,000? I doubt it.
No, he wouldn't use the word premonition, but from a soul perspective, as he evolved, he would understand his past lives and he would be able to see the culmination of.
Wow. Did you, I'm going to talk about your death in just a second. Have you reincarnated?
Many times.
Are you here now?
He's not here now, but he's showing me a life in Germany, I believe, where he was a scientist.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I think he lived in like 19 or 1819, somewhere in there.
Okay, I'm going to ask the usual spiritual questions, so we'll get to that later. So, you know, they found you with, looks like a spear wound in your shoulder, and it's an enigma if you were murdered, sacrificed, if it happened down in the village and you were carried up, or if you were shot up in the mountains. Tell us what happened. Who shot you and why? What happened? The
ultimate backstabbing.
Oh,
he's showing me that they had gone out on a hunt, but think of it like this, he says, I was overthrown.
Okay.
This is one of those moments where some of the tribe members, he had an argument with. There was a verbal and physical argument where it was just the use of hands. And he thought he had them straightened out, so to speak. And he went ahead and he was ambushed from the back.
Oh God, that's so cowardly. And that was down, or was it? And then
it was up. It was up. Not sure what he was doing up there, but it was on the way up. There'd be no reason to hide me because there'd be no judge or jury, as you would know it. So they could kill me in the village and drag my body away or leave my body lay there. This was an angry mob. He calls them a mob. There's 5 or 6 of them that would go out. No, he says more than that. that would go out and routinely hunt. And he was the leader, and this was not an up close, this was from a distance. So it was a quick impact. He fell down, and as he can see it now, no one came to him. They had no way to know if he lived or died. They took off.
Well, what was the argument about?
I had one vision, one direction, just like it would be today. People disagreed. I saw it one way, they saw it another way. It was over how we would conquer food. And we had been going down a path where some of the members thought that we had overused it and that we should go somewhere else. And then others thought that we should go another place. And I wanted to take them high up to, I guess there was some sort of deer or something that lived in that altitude, goats. And I wanted to do that. I had surveyed the land prior to taking them there. I understood what was in store for us. They wanted to go, as you would call it, rogue.
Oh, were you right?
As far as what?
As that they should have gone on your path?
Well, there were the food was plentiful there. It was a different kind of food that was plentiful. It was more protein meat food. Their way would have taken them to berries and vegetation.
Okay. Did they regret their path in the end?
No, there wasn't an advancement in their understanding to regret.
All right, well, let's go to these spiritual questions. What was your spiritual mission as, whatever your name was, I can't remember, as Otzi the Iceman in that lifetime?
I was the ultimate hunter-gatherer. I was chosen to lead the pack, literally, and not only for my tribe, but for all of humanity. I was you would call it a trendsetter.
Oh.
I was very forward thinking.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult to remain among the people who weren't. And part of my lesson was learning what you would call humility, humbleness.
Oh. And what were you here to teach?
You know, it's interesting because the first word was survival in the deepest way.
Okay.
Survival, perseverance, the continuation of life, the cycle, the evolution of life. You know, I have to remember the time that he was in. So he's telling me when we talk about evolution of life, he understood that his community didn't have to constantly pick up and move. Things would evolve. Species would procreate and make more of, but nobody believed him. So that was a big piece of why he was here.
Oh, okay. Do you have any regrets?
No, that's not possible, because as far as I've come and what I understand as a soul, it's not about regretting anything. I am thankful for each and every life that I've lived.
Oh, that's great. Did you have any specific insights once you transitioned to the other side?
I understood the mind. I understood the process of thought. it was very difficult to think in the world where I lived. We had not evolved the thought process. And then when you crossed over, everything was a thought away.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
always been that way. We are that essence, that energy that is thought.
Fascinating.
I didn't understand that on Earth.
Yeah. Wow. Can you tell us about another life that most influenced your life as Otzi the Iceman? It may
I
not
was
have been that
able,
one as a
I
scientist.
was able to be a scientist, and I was able to bring forward the knowledge of the age that I lived in a small degree. I was able to, I was fascinated with DNA
Oh,
and evolution. And it's interesting because he's showing me kind of like this process of evolution, like where he came from and how they got more sophisticated over time. He liked to study that, is what he's saying. In 19, and again, he showed me the year 1918. In Germany, and I can hear a name, George Jersowitz,
okay.
something like that. George Jersowitz.
Okay. All right. Is there anything you can share that nobody else really knows about you when you were Otzi the Iceman?
Mm-hmm.
That nobody even in your community knew about you, maybe a little secret, fun secret.
I was more advanced in the sense that I understood what an emotion was.
Oh,
I understood what a feeling was.
wow.
I was leading my tribe with an emotional connection to them, which early man did not have a sense of emotion or how to even emote. I did. That's why when I was shot, I had what you would understand as a sense of betrayal.
Yeah.
I felt it.
Oh. And they did not feel remorse, I guess.
Yeah. I tried. I
Yeah.
tried to teach that.
So, um, in your life as a scientist, did you also have that deep ability to emote?
That's a good question, because in that life, my wife would tell you that I was not a very emotional person,
Oh,
that I did not wear my emotions for the world to see. I was very much in my head. Um, I was raised very stoically.
okay, interesting. Okay, Erik, do you want to ask? Oh, do you have any other messages for us before we close?
Um, so he's telling us that even if you think it's impossible to imagine it, you're going places that you will have not even a clue about yet. Don't think that this is all there is, because it's
Wow.
not.
Oh, I know that.
Erik and I talked to him, and Erik wants to share. We talked about the drumming,
Oh, yeah.
Erik, with the music and everything. And there was this understanding of how skins made different noises.
Oh,
And there was actually, Erik asked him, what other instruments did you have? And he's talking about rattles,
oh,
where he would use animal skins and put pieces of rocks in there, and he would have rattles.
ooh, that's cool.
So yeah, Erik brought that piece up with him too. So it was pretty interesting.
Awesome. And go ahead and share one more time. Well, of course, veronicadrake.com, which I'll put here, but also the name of your Etsy shop.
Oh, my Etsy shop is Oracle Art by V Drake. And it is
just a letter, or is it VEE?
VEE Drake, and I sign all of my pieces with that, and you can commission a piece. Yeah, go check them out because I'm building the store, so there'll be more on there. These are great little, I'm taking orders for holiday gifts. These are just nice little pieces.
What do they need for you to be able to read their energy?
I just tap into them. They put a request in, I sit, and it's interesting because
do they need do you need a photograph, their full name?
No,
or?
No, I ask, what is it that they need to understand? And my hand just starts moving on the art, and you can see even the colors are dictated to me. I mean, these are like really, now, and you can see different things with the way that you turn them.
Oh, yeah.
So these are going to be used. I'm actually going to create a deck of cards off of all of these, but I'm encouraging people to collect these and display them in different rooms of their house, because you walk in a room and you can get a message in here. You see it, and it's.
Wait, do you know who channels this to you? Is it a different?
It's sometimes when I commission pieces, it's their higher self.
Oh, cool.
Erik has worked on a few pieces with me when, I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, all right, dude, you want to create? And he'll be like, yeah, let's create something. And I get an inspiration from Erik, and it's a combination. Christ energy has come in. Actually, Krishna was pretty cool. Confucius has come in. So yeah, there's a lot of entities and energies that are coming forward. So I feel very blessed.
Sounds great. All right. Thank you, Miss V.
Thank you.
Bye, Erik. Let's get back to work.
Love you. Bye, Mom.
Bye.